Hello there and welcome to today's video in which I'm going to be discussing 30 ways that I keep myself safe and regulated as an autistic person who is also chronically ill, and these are basically all intangible accommodations. So let's get started with number one. Rest. Rest is absolutely crucial for me, and particularly as I've gotten older and entered perimenopause, and I absolutely need to go and lie down for an hour or two every afternoon because I cannot function without doing so. And I appreciate that this is absolutely a luxury for me in many ways, but as a chronically ill person, I don't go out to work, so I am able to do that. But yeah, it's just so important for me. At number two is exercise, and I absolutely have to move my body, and if I don't, I feel just dreadful. So I will go out for at least a walk every morning, and I always do it even if I don't feel like doing it because I know I'm going to feel just terrible if I don't. At number three is allowing myself more time to process things, and this has come about through my autism diagnosis, or now realizing that I'm autistic and essentially being kinder to myself. At number four is taking time out to go and wash up whenever we've got visitors, and I'm thinking mainly of when Ian's mum and sister come over for dinner, and it only happens maybe a couple of times a year, but I find it really difficult to give all of my attention to people for, a couple of hours. So yeah, I'll just go off and wash up and just get lost in my own little world for a while, which allows me time to self-regulate really, and it is so important. At number five is postal votes. And I guess you could argue that this isn't intangible, but I mean the whole kind of concept really. So I applied for a postal vote a few years ago now, but I'm so glad that I did because it means that I don't have to physically go out and vote these days. At number six is ASMR videos, and I've been watching ASMR videos for years now, but I find them so useful, and particularly when I'm feeling really stressed, and they're one of the few things that can really help me to kind of regulate myself and calm down really quite quickly actually. So I'm just so thankful for these videos. At number seven is I will always email companies instead of calling them now, and this is essentially a law now that I know that I'm autistic, because I just really try and avoid stress wherever I can these days. At number eight is time for special interests without interruption, and again, now I know that I'm autistic and my partner Ian is ADHD, we both recognise that our special interests are really important to us, so we allow each other time to just get lost in these activities without any interruptions. At number nine is telling health professionals that I'm autistic, and as such I can't talk. And I'm thinking of there was a couple of instances in a recent hospital stay, and there was a volunteer that came round. I think she just chats to people who are in hospital, and I just could not cope with this kind of concept really. So I just said to her, I'm autistic. I'm really sorry that I find it really difficult to talk to people. And she was fine. She left me to it. And yeah, I'm just getting, I guess, more used to telling health professionals that I'm autistic, and particularly when it's important too. At number 10 is telling Ian when I can't go shopping, and essentially we try and do the shopping together once a week because it's one of the times that I get out of the house, but there are just some occasions that I just cannot go. So yeah, I just think it's more pragmatic now just to say to Ian, I can't come tonight, I'm really sorry, and he's fine with it. Number 11 is a good sleep routine, and I know sleep is a massive issue for lots of autistic people, but I found that having a good routine and sticking to that routine has really helped me, and HRT, I have to say. Number 12 is routines and schedules, and this ties in quite nicely with number 11. But routines, schedules, they're just so important to me. And again, since entering perimenopause, my autistic traits, or very many of them, have exacerbated or ramped up. So, yeah, routines has certainly been one of them. At number 13 is stimming, and I've always been a very quiet stimmer. Stimmer, is that a word? It is now, but I've always had very quiet stims, such as making tiny bubbles in my mouth. But I'm allowing myself these days to stim in ways that I've not done before, such as moving my hands when I'm going out for a walk. I find it really, yeah, it's a nice sensation. So, yeah, I'm incorporating more stims in my life. And number 14 is clear communication, and this is really important to autistic people, very many of us, and it certainly is for me. And I think actually through my diagnosis, or realizing that I'm autistic, it's made Ian actually more aware of my needs, really. So he does go out of his way actually to make sure his communication is more clear with me these days, which I'm really grateful for. At number 15 is I don't answer my mobile phone unless I know who it is, and I have missed important phone calls this way, which does stress Ian out, I have to say. But I just cannot bear the thought of answering a phone if I don't know who it is, so I just don't do it. And number 16 is avoiding news, and particularly when I'm feeling overwhelmed. So these days I do not listen to the news, certainly first thing in the morning anymore, and I'll only dip in and out of the news whenever I'm interested, really. So yeah, I found it really important actually for my mental health, because there is so much going on right now, isn't there? At number 17 is allowing myself not to engage with people if I don't feel that I can, really. And I'm thinking specifically of when people stop you in the street to ask directions. And I've always found this really difficult because it takes me a long time to figure out where somebody needs to go, and that's if I know at all, really. So instead, these days, I will just say to somebody, I'm really sorry, I don't know, because I know it's going to be a massive cause of stress for me. Because I know in the past I've worried if I've sent somebody off in the wrong direction before now, so I just don't involve myself in these conversations now. Number 18 is driving, and well, more specifically, when Ian drives, he has to drive quite slowly, and this has always been the way for us because I've just got terrible proprioception and I really struggle when it comes to transport. So yeah, we tootle along in the first lane on the motorway. Number 19 is avoiding smells. So for instance, if Ian has to use like a smelly product, I don't know, in the bathroom or the drains or something like that, we will always wait until I'm out of the house, because I just can't cope. And specifically, it's around my MCAS, I really react to smells. So yeah, we have to be quite careful when it comes to this. Number 20 is parallel play, and I really love this concept, but it's essentially when two people are within the same space, such as the same room, but they're doing wholly different activities. And this really describes Ian and I essentially every evening. More often than not, I'll be watching some TV show or a movie, and Ian will be watching YouTube on his iPad. So yeah, just really works for us. Number 21 is being home based, and I absolutely love it, and it is rare that I leave home actually, save for my walks and hospital appointments and stuff like that. Really, I'm at home all the time these days, and I find real comfort from this. At number 22 is help with cooking. And Ian really does help me at times because there are various tasks that I absolutely can't bear. One of which is peeling potatoes. I just can't stand it. And also, if I make like a dough for fish cakes, essentially I'll use gram flour, courgettes, and some salmon to make fish cakes. But the dough is just so sticky, and I can't bear touching it. And it's easier to manipulate with hands. So instead, I'll just borrow Ian to do that for me because there are some things in the kitchen that I just cannot stand doing. At number 23 is I no longer drive, and I've done a whole video on why I find driving really stressful, but I'm just not in a position to do it anymore. And I don't have a car these days anyway, but I was insured for a short while on Ian's car, but I just can't do it anymore. And number 24 is I'll always try and get doctor's appointments or hospital appointments even in the mornings, because I find them even more discombobulating in the afternoons for some reason. There's that whole kind of waiting thing, isn't there? And it takes up the whole day in terms of brain capacity for me. So I find it's just easier to be able to, go in the morning, get it done, and then try and get some kind of semblance of the day later on. But afternoon appointments are too stressful for me. At number 25 is I no longer socialise, and I think since getting MCAS and no longer being able to drink alcohol, the thought of socialising would just kind of fill me with horror these days. I would find it near on impossible. At number 26, I no longer go to the cinema, and I think the reasons here are pretty obvious. I just cannot cope with extraneous noise, really. I need to be able to fully focus on something, and if you've got people talking or eating popcorn and stuff, just can't do it. At number 27 is I can only have holidays in the UK these days. I just cannot bear the thought of flying anymore, and it's the whole shebang, isn't it? It takes a whole day to get anywhere, and going through the airports and all of that stuff, really. And also with having MCAS, this is just something that I would no longer be able to do, really. And number 28, I no longer wear jewellery, and I would just find it really irritating now, if I'm honest. And I used to wear quite a lot of jewellery, nothing valuable. I just always had quite a lot of costume jewellery or whatever you call it. But just the thought of wearing stuff now, I think I would find it kind of annoying. So I don't wear jewellery these days. At number 29, I no longer wear perfumes, and in fact Ian no longer wears any fragrance either, which is really sad because I loved the fragrance that he used to wear, but with MCAS just can't do it anymore. And I know that many autistic people struggle with smells anyway, in terms of sensory issues, so I don't doubt this is something that many other autistic people do, or rather don't do anymore, in terms of wearing fragrances or perfumes. As lastly, at number 30 is debriefing with Ian whenever I've had some kind of social interaction, because I'll worry about how I've come across and did I say the right thing? Have I said anything that might offend somebody? Was it wrong in any way? And all of that jazz, really. So I find it easier to find Ian whenever I've had a social interaction when I get home, to talk to him about it, straight away so that I can remember it. And he'll invariably say to me, you know, you've not done anything wrong, it's fine. And I find it really helpful. And I do the same for Ian as well, actually, because he's very similar. But I find it to be a very useful tactic. So there we have it. There are my 30 autism and chronic illness accommodations. And I do have another video which is released today on 30 physical autism accommodations. So if you'd like to see those, by all means go and watch the video. I think it'll be around there. And yeah, so thank you for watching. Give it a like if you got this far. Comments would always be appreciated. And if you don't know what to say, or if you're feeling overwhelmed, leave me an orange heart down below for friendship. And yeah, go and check out the other video.